Luke, thank you so much for doing this interview with me. First, I got to ask you, what's it feel like being here in Toronto? I know you got a lot of press going on here. You got new music happening. It's a whirlwind, man. That's what it's like when you're in this business. How's it been for you so far?
It's been really great. Well, I'm actually from Toronto, so to be able to do all this stuff in your hometown always feels great. And we debuted the single at the Horseshoe Tavern the other night for the release party, and the response has just been great.
Horseshoe Tavern. We are talking iconic venue. Some of the biggest Canadian artists, some of the biggest bands in the world have performed there. Your name is now connected with that, man.
Yeah, for sure. And I love the Horseshoe. It's, I grew up going to shows there, and now I always say it's like the home territory whenever I'm playing in town.
So what was that like, man, to be performing new music up there, iconic, venue? Like you just said, you grew up going there. Now you're on stage. What did that feel like?
It feels great. You always want to feel like a part of the musician community that you grew up in, right? So I've always strived to do so, and now I had a record out before, and I'm releasing some new singles now, and ever since Hard Times come out, it just feels like everything's really coming together. Right, and to be able to play on that stage, it's so much history, right? And you said it, so it feels really great.
Let's talk about your history before we get into Hard Times. As you said, Torontonian, there's that rock thing going on, there's a bit of that country thing going on, a bit of that blues thing. How did that all mix start with you growing up?
Well, I feel like I come from a pretty eclectic background of influences. Like my dad was very much into like blues and rock and roll, where my mom was into more like the softer rock and maybe even funk at times, and a lot of Motown and soul as well. So I don't know, I feel like it's taken a while, I think, to hone in on really exactly what I want to do, as far as what my records sound like and what the songs mean, but I've always wanted to keep consistent that the songs always meant something to me. I find there's too much music these days that people do it to try and sound like what's popular, when realistically all you can really contribute to is your sound. Right, so now that I've really honed in on that, I think that this alternative sound that's coming up right now is such a wild west with Spotify and people really not listening to traditional radio stations as much anymore and really finding their niche genres online. I think that there's more of an audience for music that doesn't necessarily fit in that box. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. When do you remember your first real performance when you thought, okay, you know what, this is something that I could actually do now. This is something I can believe in.
I don't know. I played in bands for as long as I can remember, right? I started out as a drummer, and I played bass in a band, and I played guitar in a band, and eventually I just started writing songs and doing that. But we used to do those shows. They were called Supernova back in the day with Toronto, obviously. And I used to play in a heavy metal band. And I remember we got the chance to play like the Opera House, which was like this huge, 10, 12 foot elevated stage, and we should have never been there, but I remember it was just a great experience, I had the whole high school come out. And
what do you mean by you should have been there?
It's a huge room, man.
I know the room well. I've had seen there myself.
I was 16. Definitely weren't ready for it. But I mean, it was a cool experience. The stage lights were on, there was like a real sound guy, and I was like, this is cool. I really liked it.
Well, I got to jump in there because you said you're friends, because they're part of the band too. These are guys who have been with you for a long time.
For sure. We've actually recently had a changeover. So on this tour, I actually started with a brand new band. But I was with one of the guys I've been playing with for over 10 years, Kennedy, the guitar player. And Brian was the bass player. We've been together for a few years, as well as Mike, the drummer. And we just kind of grew apart. No hard feelings or anything, and excited to be collaborating with new people, right? So now in my band I have a French Canadian. There's a guy from Trinidad, and there's a guy from Aurora, which is just north of the city. And
you can't get any more representing Canada, man. That's
mix for sure.
That's the way it works. But when you got your record deal, when this stuff started to work out, somebody sent a demo to somebody else, something like that?
So I'm actually independent still. Right. So I don't have a record deal, but I work with producers independently.
And I think maybe that's what I was thinking of. Somebody sent a demo somewhere, right?
For sure. So in the beginning, I had a demo that I did in college of a song I did called The Alternative, and it was an acoustic duo. It was a song I'd just written, and it got to Michael Hansen, who is part of the Canadian supergroup Glass Tiger. And yeah, he's like, I really like your voice. Come over, let's have a chat. So I went over to his house, and he's like, you know what, let's do some music together. I really like what you're doing. And that was like the first experience I got working with a real professional in a studio environment, and I got to learn so much. And yeah, it was just a great experience. It really did kind of push my music career forward and kind of legitimized what I was doing in my own head, right? Like, you spend a lot of time thinking, does this fit in? Is this good? Is it not? Do I like it? Am I the only person that likes it? And that to me was like a really good validation, Sometimes you need a pat on the back. Yeah.
Well, the pat on the back is Hard Times with this new single. As soon as you hear Hard Times, you're thinking, Hard Times. What is the song about for you?
The song's about, I wouldn't say it's about any particular incident. Obviously there's a lot of difficult societal stuff happening, especially right in the here and now. But yeah, I think that it's more about the thought and the feel that no matter how relative it is, everyone has these hard times, right? And it's about how you deal with them that really define who you are. So yeah, I actually co-wrote the song with John Angus MacDonald from the Trews, which was a great experience as well. He ended up producing the single. And yeah, I couldn't be happier with the way it turned out.
How did that song develop for you, though? You just talked about writing it and people producing it, though. But, were you somewhere where the song just sort of started seeping in? Was there something that you were watching?
No, I wouldn't say I was watching. So what happened was me and John Angus connected, and we decided we were going to do something together, and I was just sending him demos, right? And I sent him 7 or 8 demos, and he liked a few of them. But he's like, we haven't found the it song yet. What else do you have? So I was looking through my computer and the old demos, and Hard Times was a song that I've had for years, right? It was really just a verse and a chorus. It wasn't like a full song by any means. And I sent it over, and he's like, this is the one. He's like, that hit me really hard. Like, that's a great chorus. Like, let's work on this. So I went over to his house, and we kind of, conceptualized what the song was about. And I feel like I just needed someone to talk to about it, and work on it together in order to finish it. So that's what we got to do.
When you have a great song, there's usually an EP or album behind that, correct?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to release an EP early 2018, but in the meantime, I'm going to release some singles. And I've actually teamed up with Time Razor, which is a non-for-profit, a Canadian non-for-profit. And what happened was, I got introduced to Time Razor through a friend. He's like, I'm going to this party tonight. It's an art gallery for Time Razor. Do you want to come? And I was like, I have no idea what he's going to do. He's like, come, okay. So I went, and basically and it was this huge art gallery with a silent auction going on, but no one could buy the art with money. Instead, you had to volunteer hours to your charity of choice, right? And I thought it was a really forward concept. So I called up Time Razor, and now I'll be the first artist to do a release. So you can pre-order my album and exclusive material for nothing more than volunteer hours at your charity of choice.
I love it, man. Congratulations on, innovation. That's what it's all about these days. But if people want to check out getting more info, music, everything else, website, Twitter, where do we go for all that?
For sure. So on Instagram and Twitter, I'm at Luke Austin Band, and online you can find my website at www.lukeaustinmusic.com.
Now, before we go, though, man, tour-wise, what is going to be happening? You've done the Horseshoe. Are there going to be more shows coming up?
Mm-hmm. So I'm in the middle of an Ontario, like a 9-date Ontario tour, just supporting the Hard Times release. And yeah, I hope to see everyone out there.
Well, you definitely will, man. Look, I got to say congratulations on this. And let's talk when the EP comes out. Promise?
Okay, will do. Thanks.